Uncertainty mounts as Portadown awaits Northern Secretary's decision on Drumcree Parade. Calls for inquiry into alleged drug trials on residential care children. And Irish side makes soccer history in World Youth Cup. Good evening. The Northern Secretary, Dr. Mo Mowlam, has still made no announcement on whether tomorrow's Orange Parade in Portadown will be allowed pass along the Garvaghey Road on its way from Drumcree. The delay has been caused by continuing efforts to find an agreed solution to the crisis. Dr. Mowlam is due to make the decision in consultation with the IUC Chief Constable, Ronnie Flanagan. Orange men want to march from the centre of Portadown to Drumcree Church and then back again via the Garvaghey Road.
Hundreds of Garvaghey residents lined a controversial route this evening to demonstrate their opposition to tomorrow's planned parade. With just 14 hours to go, their position hasn't changed.
How many compromises do people want this community to make? Do people want this community to lay down on their knees?
That's exactly what the Orange men say, though. They say they've compromised enough too.
The Orange Order have never compromised with this community.
Throughout the day, extra forces were drafted into Portadown and checkpoints set up to monitor movement and prevent any build-up of support for either side. This year, the British Army has played a far more visible role. On the Garvaghey Road itself, the atmosphere has been one of calm, tricolours flying almost everywhere as the finishing touches were put on murals. The equally colourful nearby Loyalist estates also appeared calm. It's hard to believe such a quiet country church could within hours become the centre of conflict of two opposing traditions. The Catholic Primate of all Ireland this afternoon asked outsiders to keep away from Portadown.
I appeal to people to stay away, first of all, from the flashpoints. These are local disputes and are best settled by local people.
Meanwhile, pressure is mounting on the Orange men to reroute the parade. Last night, Mo Mowlam asked the Portadown lodges to listen to the voices of reason. Today, the Unionist Belfast newsletter said they would receive overwhelming support if they pulled back.
Whenever we look at the Garvaghey Road Residents Coalition and ask, well, what have they actually done to try and solve the situation? And I'm afraid you come up with a blank sheet.
So it seems even at this late stage, neither the Garvaghey residents nor the Portadown Orange are going to reach an accommodation. Dr. Mo Mowlam's continual postponement of a decision on the controversial parade is tonight increasing the uncertainty as to what will happen tomorrow.
Well, we're joined now from Drumcree by our Northern editor, David DAVIN-POWER. David, it's getting very close to the wire for a decision from the Northern Secretary. What do you think the delay means?
Well, I think the delay means that Mo Mowlam wants to leave it until the last possible moment to make sure that whatever efforts are going on behind the scenes have been finally exhausted. Remember, she's under no legal obligation to notify her decision in advance. In fact, 2 years ago, in the first Drumcree standoff, we didn't know that the march was going to be rerouted until the Orange men were actually streaming out of the church here behind me. Land Rovers then moved into position to block their route down the Garvaghey Road. It was that close. So we're not really expecting a decision tonight. I would be very surprised if there was one.
Well, I suppose it's an understatement to say that Dr. Mowlam is between a rock and a hard place, but is there any indication at all that some sort of compromise, perhaps a restricted march, is possible or likely?
Well, there's no sign of an accommodation on the ground, Ken. That much I can tell you. A restricted march would in itself cause all kinds of problems. When she said yesterday that the Orange men of Portadown should listen to reason, it was clear that she was putting the onus on the Orange Order to actually alter their plans. So it was quite clear that she felt that they were the people that ought to change.
David, thank you for that. Well, the annual Orange Parade in Rossnala in County Donegal took place today. It was led by the Grand Master of the Orange Order, Robert SAULTERS.
34 Orange lodges were represented in today's parade, led by the Grand Master of the Orange Order, Robert SAULTERS. It was his first time to join this march, and he felt other parades could learn from Rossnala, which always passes off peacefully. Mr. SAULTERS was reluctant, however, to comment in detail on what might happen tomorrow in Portadown.
We certainly don't want it to be like last year, and we would call for peace. If anyone wants to protest, a peaceful protest, but certainly we want peace.
Security was more obvious than usual in Rossnowla. There was a strong Garda presence, but as in previous years, there was no trouble at the Donegal parade, a fact some found ironic.
And people would say to you, you know, it's very strange that you come down here and there's not a bit of bother, and this is the first time I would say that we've ever even seen an increase in security like we have here today. Normally it's one or two, and there's never any problem.
It's more dignified here.
Yeah.
Yes, it's changed a bit, the large